Phone on.
And we're on. Venus Lau. Thanks for being on Fitness and Consciousness.
Thank you for inviting me. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. So I discovered you on Instagram, and I was looking through your post, and you're doing a lot of different things with animal flows and kettlebells and a lot of different movements. So I guess we'll kind of like start with like what you're doing now, and then we can kind of like work into like how you got into it, like the
Sure.
beginning. I know you've been doing this for a long time. So like, how would you describe what you're doing now?
What I'm doing now, it's accumulation of all the things that I just love to do. Um, so I would just say my program is called Strength and Flow, and it's just a combination of all the things that I feel that can truly help the mind and the body connect to develop and optimize more strength in order to get yourself in a state of flow, whether that is physical or mind or actually in my case, I want everyone to be able to experience both. But it's about optimizing everything in your body, from how you think, how you breathe, where you generate strength, how to be able to connect to kinetic energy from the ground through the body and out, and create movement and through movement. And so it is a combination of animal flow and yoga and calisthenics and some suspension training. Like you could use a TRX or gravity training, or what I have people use in the program is a sheet or a towel. Just because I don't want people to have to feel this need to buy really super expensive equipment unless they want to. It's totally fine. I'm a trainer. I'm required to have all that equipment.
Yeah.
But really, I really want to help people move better, whether you want to lose weight, gain more strength, become more athletic, perform better in whatever it is that you do, or you just want to live a longer, happier life where you feel connected. I'm in my late 30s, so I, for the longest time, was that younger, when I was a younger trainer, was very like, I got to sweat my butt off, and I better work out really hard. I have to feel like that burn every time in order for me to justify saying that I had a great workout. And I actually had more injuries when I was younger than I do now. And I'm in better shape now, and I can walk into any kind of workout and pick up anywhere now because I have a better connection to my body. So I want everyone to be able to experience that. I feel like that is what is missing in a lot of fitness, is that people feel this need to I guess say that they had a good workout based on how horrible they feel afterwards. And I know not horrible, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like they feel like they need to get their ass kicked, and a good ass kicking is good every once in a while. Not gonna lie, love it. But I don't feel like it is something that we can do on a daily basis to truly optimize our life.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. There's like some people that, like a lot of it's like CrossFit people, or like especially, but I think maybe even they're changing some, like some of the gyms where they think like if they're not, if they can walk out of the gym unassisted, then like their workout just wasn't good enough. I mean, they have to be like laying on the floor, panting in a puddle of sweat, and like that's probably good every once in a while. Like just push yourself to these extremes to see what you got, but like for generally, it's probably not the best idea.
Right.
Yeah. Something that I saw that you've written in a couple places is like you start starting with the body to live from the inside out. Like, so what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that at the end of the day, and most trainers they'll understand this, because the biggest job of a trainer isn't getting people to do something that they're not already capable of doing. Most people are capable of doing anything. It starts with the mindset of believing first that you can do it. And so, what comes out physically in the body and our performance and our movement is something that we've already had inside of us. And I'm not trying to sound like all hippy dippy. It truly everything starts with an idea. Everything starts with a feeling. And I mean, that's why marketing companies make so much money. But at the end of the day, it's the truth. It is really where everything stems from. So from living from the inside out is allowing the movement within to come out physically. And sometimes, and in my case, I definitely had to meet myself where I was at when I was younger, which when I was younger, it was more about performing better and looking better. I'm not gonna lie. I was, yeah, it was totally surface level when I was younger. And I met myself at that level, and I realized that the more this became a habit, the more the looking better and performing better was just going to, I knew it was going to be an automatic thing. And it became more about understanding myself and seeing like where this all came from. And it came from a deeper place than that surface level. And that comes from the inside out. And then all of a sudden you're more concerned about being a better human being, or you're more concerned about, when I'm in the middle of a flow, or even just, a traditional workout, how does it feel in my body? How am I generating the strength? Where is it coming from? Am I breathing? It becomes more about that than, oh, how great did I look when I videoed myself, So, and then it becomes a ripple effect in life. And you start to see your other parts of your world, not just fitness, your relationships or your hobbies, or, your job. In my case, it's fitness, but say if it's not, you start to see it in other lights. And I feel like it allows a lot of freedom.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Putting it all together, it seems um, like the winds of change are really hitting the fitness industry, where more people are getting into flow and like taking their yoga off the mat instead of just practicing on this 6 foot by 2 foot thing. And here I am in this spot doing this movement. You can actually move around the floor, and you can go all over the room, and you can do all kinds of things. And that can be like this mindful, spiritual kind of thing also. So what was your beginning? So you started like your fitness journey quite early, right?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I loved going to the gym as like an escape. Luckily, my dad was really into working out. I didn't really work out with him, but I would, I was like a teenager who would buy like women's health and fitness magazines and look at the workouts in them, and I'd go to the gym and do them. And it was really fun for me, and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but I was very athletic. I was always on, playing sports and stuff like that. And then in college, I played Division I golf for Baylor University, and we had a trainer there, and so we had to work out 3 or 4 times a week. And I just in general worked out every day. It was just it was a release for me. And then by the time I graduated college, my dad had passed away from cancer. And then a year later, my mom was diagnosed, and my mom passed away when I was 25. And so health and fitness has always kind of been on the forefront of my mind, as well as mindset, because it's not that my parents weren't fit, because they were very active and they were healthy. They had home cooked meals all the time. They barely drank alcohol. They definitely didn't smoke or do drugs. So that's why mindset became such a big thing for me, because if there's anything looking back on my past that I saw, it was that I did not feel that my parents understood how to handle stress very well.
Hmm.
And so that became a really big thing. And because, you always hear people saying, oh, what's someone's diet? Are they getting enough sleep? Are they active enough? And those things do matter, obviously, but I feel like it's a smorgasbord of everything. And I think how we handle stress at the end of the day, that's where we're coming back to living from the inside out. How you feel, how you take in emotion, how you think is going to affect everything else in your body. And that's the difference between, nurture versus nature, and epigenetics versus genetics. So that became a really big thing for me. So in my 20s, I got more into health and fitness. I moved out to LA actually to be a comedy writer. And so I did a little bit of that and did the whole LA thing. And I finally was like, I need a job that I enjoy, because I was working a lot of other odd jobs in between, still working out most of the time. And then my best friend at the time was like, well, Venus, most people already think you're a trainer. Why don't you be a trainer? And at first my reaction was, I'm not gonna be a trainer. Like, come on. Like, I'm not here to be a writer. I have a college degree, blah, blah, blah. And I was, I was a snob about it. And I thought about it longer, and then I was like, okay, you're right. I'll do that. I'll try that. Right? I'll try that.
Yeah.
And 6 months later, I was working at Equinox in Santa Monica and ramping up clients. And I was like, wow, I really like this. It was quite a hustle, but it was fun. It was like a restart. And I had a late start. I wasn't until I was in my late 20s doing it. And so I started doing that, and then after a while I realized I was actually much more passionate about fitness than I was about other things, and it just kind of snowballed. And then everything with animal flow and yoga, that came a few years later, when after I became that board trainer at the gym that wanted to use a kettlebell and a cable machine and a BOSU ball at the same time. I was clearly bored and I needed more.
Yeah.
And so I got introduced to more body weight training, and now the sky's the limit. Like, I'm never bored with that. Just play.
Yeah, you have quite a few certifications.
Yeah.
And so you're saying like you're getting bored with this, and so you're exploring these other things. So what was your first certification, and what makes you keep going to all these different ones, and how do they fit together into what you're trying to do?
I wish I knew. So I think the best answer would be, I'm very curious. I'm always very curious. I always want to know what's out there. I don't think I know everything. I wish I did, but I don't. And I think, like, my first certification, to answer your question, was I was just good old fashioned NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine. I just got my NASM. I was like, what's quick, easy, but still like, professional.
Yeah.
So I started with that. And luckily, being at a place like Equinox, they do provide really great in-house training, and they encourage their trainers to take more certifications, and they give a discount. So I took everything that came by me. I was like, oh, kettlebell? Yeah. Clubbell? Yeah. This? Yes. Like, I just kept saying yes, because you're getting free education or a discounted education from amazing professionals who really understood how to teach. And I was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to be able to do it well. And really, if I'm going to help people, I want to help them the right way, not just be like counting reps. And so just kind of started that way. And my love and my passion grew more for fitness, and I wanted to do more, and it just kind of snowballs. And you go to certifications and someone says, oh, this is pretty good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I go home, I look it up. I'm like, okay, that seems cool. Oh, there's one coming up near me, and just kind of snowballs. And then you eventually develop this network of amazing friends and in the fitness industry, and who, like, I get messages every day from friends in the fitness industry, and we're either going to we talk about something we heard on a podcast, or a new cert that we feel that has really helped us. And that's what I love about the fitness industry. When you find your tribe, your crew of people, everyone's extremely supportive and helping each other, because at the end of the day, that's our job. Our job is to help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a good number of really cool certifications now. And I started as a trainer in 1999, and I was certified through ACE. and you didn't really have to do anything except for like read a book and take a test.
Right.
And I've known trainers with like master's degrees, and it's like it doesn't seem like you really have to do anything except for read books and take tests on that also. So
Right.
I've seen like where you can have like these advanced degrees, and I'm not against that kind of education at all. But it's like I'm more impressed with like what can you actually do.
Yes.
And what was that?
I said I very much agree. Like I follow that track you're going on. Like 100%. Not about how good you are at memorizing a book and taking a test. Can you actually teach people? I know people who have their masters in kinesiology, and I've seen them teach, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, you know what you're talking about, but communication, there's a gap there. you know um, and like you said, it's more about what can you do, and can you regurgitate that information and teach someone else to do it as well. And that to me is that to me is what a trainer is. Like, yes, I'm always a student, I'm always a scholar, but it's very important for me to learn how to step by step teach someone who's, say, never touched a kettlebell, or who has the last time they crawled they were like 8 years old. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important, is the interpersonal communication level of a trainer.
Yeah. I think a lot of things are changing with that now too, and um, like I ended up getting out of training after a couple years, um, and I just trained like people at my house and like friends and friends of friends. I didn't worry about making money. I was like, come on over. We're gonna be training, teaching martial arts and lifting and stuff. Just come on by. We'll just have fun. And then when I discovered Pavel Tsatsouline about like 9 years ago or something like that, and the Russian kettlebell challenge, and it was like, oh, this is different. It's like this is actually really amazing stuff. And I found a kettlebell, and then that's what made me want to be a trainer again, like professionally, is him. And then I got my Strong First certification a little over 3 years ago. And but yeah, it's like all about like, what can you actually do? There's actual physical tests. Do you actually know how to squat? And can you like coach these things? Do you actually know what you're doing?
Right.
Something that you mentioned a little bit. You mentioned your parents passing away, and my dad died in 2005 from cancer, and you were talking about like losing parents, and then like compassion and like the vulnerability that you were like having from that, and then teaching people um, like awesomeness, or how do you um, so like what did that all mean to you? How do you get from, because you're talking about like vulnerability on one hand, and then your awesomeness on like
On the
creating awesomeness through that?
Right. Well, it's interesting. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine about vulnerability, and I was like, sometimes I don't even I like the word vulnerability, but I feel like some people have a certain connotation attached to it. And to me, vulnerability is just freedom. It's just being you. It's being you without judgment. I think the biggest issue that we have in life in general is self-judgment. We're always worried about what other people think, but really we're actually more worried about what we think of ourselves, not really what other people think of ourselves. But going back to like talking about like my parents with cancer, I very much was not a vulnerable person when I was younger, and that's why fitness actually was a huge release for me at first, in a healthy way and yet an unhealthy way. And I think that needs to be addressed too. Like, and that's why my idea of fitness has evolved, from it being this release of tension, which ends up just creating more stress and tension at the end of the day, to becoming a release of tension because I'm going with the flow and I'm connecting and I'm being vulnerable and I'm being truthful, and it's this freedom that comes with it that I can regurgitate through my body and outward. Not like, oh, I'm so angry and stressed out and I need this hard workout and like, um, that at the end of the day is very short term. You know, it's like an energy drink. It's short term, you know, versus having, you know, the things that your body needs every day kind of thing. And I think that when it comes to being vulnerable, I used to not tell my story about my parents passing away because I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. Like, I hated it. I hated it when people were like, oh, Venus, you're so strong that you had to deal with this at such a young age. And I was just, in my mind, I was like, well, what else am I supposed to do? I have to survive. So I'm just doing what I need to survive. And then I kind of hated being praised for it, to be honest. I didn't want to be praised for something that I felt like I had to do for survival. It's not like I chose for that to happen. So, but that was younger me, and now older me is realizing to drop more into my body, into my heart, into my mind, and just being real with people, and it doesn't have to be serious. Like I said, I moved to LA to be a comedy writer, so you know. I'm that person that tells like a dead parent joke every once in a while, just to lighten things up. So people are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." It's cool. It's fine. It's part of life. I'm gonna die one day. You're gonna die one day. Like, it's a cycle. So, you know, you just make the best of what you can, and that's what I've realized with everything. And I want to live that model. So the move to live awesome, you know, be yourself, be vulnerable, be honest, to live an awesome life. You know, don't go out of your way to tell somebody that their post is shitty because you're kind of like, it's not really helping you yourself. Definitely not helping them. It's definitely not helping yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, just be grateful. Live your life awesomely from the inside out.
Yeah, yeah, you said something like people like writing negative things on the post, and like what I hear like from like some like listen to like the Joe Rogan podcast, and he has different people on that maybe they're like gaining fame, and that like whether like UFC fighters or whatever, and like the rule is like don't read the comments, like because there's going to be people that. So he's like telling people, he's like, don't read the comments, you know, put your stuff out there, but there's always going to be people that like put the thumbs down on like Led Zeppelin videos or somebody's doing squats or something like that, and somebody has. So like, what do you think that is about that person that makes them put the thumbs down instead of the thumbs up, or at least like not say anything? Like the whole like, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. What do you think that is that drives them to do that?
I think everything we do outwardly is a reflection of what's going on inside. That's the whole, it goes all the way back to that whole thing, live from the inside out. You know, so if you are that person that does that, then it's just a reflection of how you feel about yourself on the inside. And having that lack of compassion. There are many times where I'll post a challenge and someone will tag me and be like, did this challenge at Venus to be Fab posted on Instagram. And I'll look at it and it could be like 4 moves and every move is wrong. But I'm always like, good job.
Yeah.
Because they attempted to do it. They tried to move. They're proud of themselves enough to sit there and film it. It was probably like the 5th take, you know, when they finally posted it. And they tried. And that's all that matters, really. You know, I'm not going to be a dick and like be like, oh, well, you didn't put your foot here in the right way unless they ask. If they're like, I'd love feedback, then I will write back in the comments. Or maybe I'll just do a private DM of like how they can correct it. I'm not going to be a dick about it. Like, you have to have that compassion that not everybody understands everything the same way that you do, you know? And I think it's just about being a human and realize that we're all human and we're going to make some mistakes and allowing others to do that. And if they ask for help, then, and to me, asking for help is a very brave thing to do. And so I love it when people reach out to me and ask for help. I love it when people DM me like, hey, I just did this flow, will you check it out? Tell me if what I'm doing wrong, or how can I improve it, you know? If people don't ask for that feedback and I don't know them, then I generally won't. But if it's someone like, say, I know that they bought my online program and they posted something, I'll send them a DM and be like, hey, like when you're doing this, remember, do, stack here or there. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the reflection of like what they think of themselves and kind of like it's like it echoing out. Like maybe somebody's wife gives them a hard time, and then they have to give somebody else a hard time. So it's like this echo coming back, and it's not really them. It's just kind of like what's been thrown at them is just kind of like bouncing back or something. They don't have way to deal with it. So like going back to like the vulnerability, because I think it has like kind of that ties in. So when you're doing all these different certifications, so at first you discover some new method, and they're like, I want this certification. And so maybe you're doing these techniques and you're having trouble, but you're like practicing, and maybe they're in front of people, and maybe you're trying to like balance and it looks so great, and then you fall over or something like that. So is this kind of like where part of the vulnerability that you're talking about comes from, and the strength from that, because you're putting yourself in these situations to be graded? I mean, you have to do this stuff to pass your test, and you might wipe out or something silly happen. Is this part of like the vulnerability that you're talking about also?
Yes, in a way. I mean, I think when it comes to taking a test, before you take a test, you practice, and by the time you take the test, if you're diligent about practicing, it should be a piece of cake, as long as you put the work in. And I think that's the other part, that the other piece that comes into play is, people are like, oh, but I'm trying, I'm being vulnerable. But it's like, yes, and that's a very important piece. But there's another piece that comes into play of do the work, and the more you do the work, the more you're having little wins for yourself, and all those little wins stack up to be this big win at the end of the day for the big picture. But yes, being vulnerable and putting yourself out there, I think it's a great thing. I think it can be even more simple than the word vulnerability. I feel vulnerability is a trend word, and it's a great word. I love it. I use it myself. But at the end of the day, if we just say, just be yourself and be the best version of yourself you could be, and it's okay if you fuck up every once in a while,
Yeah.
just correct it, and it's no longer a fuck up, it's a learning experience, and then you just move forward. It's like keep moving forward kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another one of your practices, you do the Wim Hof method, right?
I have done the Wim Hof method. I've taken a few workshops from some friends of mine who teach Wim Hof, and it's incredible. It's really great. I'm a believer of all styles of breath work, though. I wouldn't say like one is better than the other. I think they all work. It depends on the person and what they're looking for.
Have you, because I've done some of the Wim Hof and then other breathing methods through, like you'd find like through yoga, pranayama stuff,
Mm-hmm.
alternate nostril, and all this kind of thing. Are like what kind of benefits do you think that you would get from that, or like what breathing methods would you use for different applications? So,
So yeah, go ahead.
so I'm just gonna say, so are you doing like the yoga alternate nostril? Do you think that's even like really doing what it says it's supposed to do, or like are you doing like the Wim Hof? Are you doing this stuff like while you're like before you practice, or your movement, or during, or how do you put the different breathing practices into your own practice and what you're teaching?
So I think it depends on each individual. For me personally, I love Wim Hof when I'm not about to work out. I know it can be used for right before a workout. For me personally, it takes so much effort. It's a workout in itself, unless you're doing the short version of it. But so it depends on my mood too. So let's say I've had a really stressful day and I come home. and I want to get a workout in, but I know I'm just not in the state, I'll do something a little bit more relaxing at first for about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 10, depending on how long it takes me to get that place of being able to like let go and just kind of be in my body. And I could use some Wim Hof, uh, or I could use alternate nostril breathing. I'll use 4x4 tactical breathing techniques. There's also the Buddhiko method that they talk about a lot in Oxygen Advantage. But to be honest, my favorite way of doing breath work is simply observing my breath. I think all those methods are great, and I use all of them. And there's 3 of them that I use in my online program for every workout video. But the simplest one is just observing your breath, because you find out a lot of information about yourself based on how well you can actually just like sit there and breathe and listen to it. And so what I tell my clients to do is have them sit there or lay there, eyes open or closed, whatever works for them, whatever makes people the most comfortable. I don't think there's one position that you need to be in for breath work. But I just say, listen to your breath, observe your breath as if you had a piece of paper that you are going to write. You have a minute to write it out when you're done breathing. So as you're breathing, you're just observing, going, how would you describe the sensation of the nasal passage, of the sensations going down through the throat, filling the chest cavity? Do you feel your intercostals? Do you feel your ribs expanding? Do you, I ask them these questions when they first start going through it. And by the end, I say, I want you to observe it so well that after we're done, you could sit down and write a few paragraphs about all the sensations you feel. And that really helps people stay present with themselves, because a lot of times you're like, oh, I heard a car go by. Oh, I heard, there's music. Oh, I hear someone walking by me, and it's just about being in that state of observance. And I think we live in such a world that's like, we got our iPhone, we got our iPad, we got the TV going, right? Oh, I gotta check my email, I gotta be on my computer. Like, it's just bing, 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 all these things going on. And we can just sit and observe the breath, and we can even do it while we're in the middle of conversation, then I think people would be able to chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I guess like my main breathing teacher was my jujitsu teacher. He's from Korea. He's about like 70 now, something like that. And so we do Zen meditation at the end of every class for 10 minutes. And there's a meditation class, but it was just like sitting in Seiza, just like sitting on your ankles, good posture. And he's like, your good posture will allow proper breathing. He's like, so don't like inhale 4, exhale 4. Just like have your proper posture, and then your breathing will be what it's supposed to be. It'll just regulate, and then I could go down to just maybe a few breaths per minute, maybe 2 breaths per minute, maybe 1 per minute. And then sometimes it seems like the breath just stops. And it's like, oh, whoa, I haven't taken a breath for a long time. And then like everything speeds up again. But yeah, you're talking about looking at our phones. I was downtown yesterday, and there was this couple on this like horse-drawn carriage, and it had like this like thing over the carriage part of it that looked almost like a Cinderella kind of thing, like.
Right.
And this couple, they're both messing with their phones. They're like sitting by each other. They probably paid $75 or something to ride this thing around for 20 minutes, and they're looking down at their phone. And just like, what are you doing? I mean, you can't even like why are you even on this thing to even? Yeah, yeah, like what you said, like think because you're.
But you're on your phone, so it's like you're not really experiencing it.
Mm-hmm.
I 100%. I've been guilty of being that person. I try not to be, but it's definitely something that that I think more people get to realize. And I think it's more people are becoming aware of that, and I think it's just a matter of like, that's why I think when it comes to fitness, if more people flowed or focused on their breath more, they're going to get so much more out of it. And not just the workout, but life in general. Like, I don't know how I went so long without flow, because I used to be more of a stress ball. Things used to bother me a lot more. And now that when I have a daily practice of flow, in breath work, you're just kind of like, all right, it's life. What's next? How do I deal with it? Okay, awesome. It's not such a stressful thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm human. I definitely get stressed out, but it doesn't get to that extreme point where it starts to truly affect my health.
Can you talk like more about that? Like, why would it's like you're doing these flows, and it's like when in the context I'm thinking of, so yeah, like the stress, you're like, and then like tensed up, and then because you're stressed out about whatever, and how does the flow, like the I don't know why I can't put it together, like the physical practice relieving like the actual like the mental stress, like how does that work? And then like at the end of you're like, and then like you're kind of letting go whatever you're stressed about. Can you talk about how that like actually works?
The best analogy I can give is like getting stuck in a traffic jam. Your mind gets caught up on things. So just like in traffic, there's an accident, right? Accidents are never on purpose. That's why they're called accidents.
Mm-hmm.
So accidents happen. It's part of traffic, and it causes everything else to slow down, and it causes all this other frustration and all these other things. So like one thing in life in our day happens and it stresses us out. And if we put all of our attention into that, it just populates and it gets more and more stressful when it didn't really need to be. Instead, like the crew comes and pushes the accident to the side and allows traffic to flow again. And that's kind of how I see, like, with the physical can help the mental and the spiritual, or whatever else you want to call it, because it can push that energy out of you. It can flip a switch. Or it's like when you train an animal, a dog or a cat, like you reward them with a treat, or you shake a can of coins to shift their mindset to something else. And I think that what physical flow can do, it can shift your mindset into something else that's actually much more productive. And then on a physical and scientific level, there's more blood flow. There's more oxygen running through the body at an efficient level, and all these other amazing things. So that's why I believe in it so much. And yes, you get that also from lifting weights and traditional stuff. Absolutely. I'm not going to poo-poo on that at all. You absolutely can. But at the end of the day, when you can meld a lot of those physical movements together, you're creating like a symphony of things. And what I see traditional exercises, how I see that, if I were to compare it to like a symphony, right? I think flow is like a symphony. And I think like doing 4 sets of 10 reps of one exercise, I see that as like a violinist practicing a note over and over again. And you have to practice those notes a lot to get really good at them. But it doesn't create music just playing the same note over and over again. What creates music is a blend of all those things. And I think that that's what we can create in our own body.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's a good analogy. The symphony thing, the practicing the one note or the scales or something on one thing, and then yeah, I like that idea. So what's like next for you? Are there are you looking at, like, is there like an exercise like tool of some sort that you're like wanting to get into, or like some kind of movement system that you're looking at? Or
I want to get into everything, but one step at a time. I want to play more, and part of that is continuing to build my online program Right now, the first two series is Strength and Flow, where people are learning traditional and non-traditional body weight exercises, and learning how to drill them, like playing the note, playing the scales, and then learning how to flow them, like creating a symphony. And it's mixed in with breath work. I'm also going to create a more beginner version. It already is applicable for beginners, to intermediate, to advanced. But a question I get a lot is, I'm a beginner, can I do this? You absolutely can. Sometimes, I know people need that extra, like, yes, I definitely can do this. So I'm creating another smaller, shorter program for those people so they can really gain that confidence in themselves and be like, okay, yeah, I really can take on this whole big program. And then I'm putting together a body weight and kettlebell program with Marcus Martinez. He is at Kettlebell Exercises, and I think his other handle is Strength by Marcus. And his program is Kettlebell Difference. Great program. He's an amazing coach. He really understands how to teach kettlebells from a very foundational level and up. And that's why I wanted to partner with him, because I feel like a lot of people are really good at doing what they do, but to teach someone, say like a complete beginner who's never touched a kettlebell or who's never done any flow in their life, I think it's so important that we're able to communicate how to do the foundational things to lead up to the really cool, flashy things you'll see on Instagram.
Yeah, sounds really cool. I'm about out of questions for you. I could just keep like chipping away at all these different philosophies for a long time, but I have a class starting in about a half hour.
Well, that's fun.
45 minutes. Yeah, my kids class is, and then an adult class after that. But so I'm not in a big hurry though. Is there something that we haven't touched on that you wanted to get into?
Just I'm teaching a workshop in Sweden in this August. I'm really excited about it. There's a few spots left. If anyone wants to go, I'm going to be there their entire week. I'll be there teaching 2 days, and I'm going to give another day of play. So I'll be there for 3 days for teaching and helping people, but I'm going to be there entire week. So I've kind of left an invite. I'm going to post about it as well, of like, hey, who wants to meet me and play in Sweden? Never been there. Should be fun. And then I plan on doing more workshops. People who want to book me for workshops, they just get to email me at venusfitinfo@gmail. And if they want me to come to the studio and teach, to send me the information and to relay from there. And then other than that, like, what are some of the certs and the continued educations that you're excited about diving more into? I'd love to know that.
Well, Strong First kettlebell instructor is the only certification that I have now. And it was like once I learned about Pavel, like I was kind of, well, when I started, as I mentioned, I started as a trainer in 1999. I was certified through ACE, and I did that for a couple of years. I was doing martial arts, and so I knew about movement stuff, and I was incorporating that with my clients. And then I was working at this. It was, I think it was the most successful personal training studio. I was an employee there, not an independent, and I was working at the most successful studio, and a lot of it, like the owner was a real control freak, and he had to like control even my own program. Like he wanted to tell me what program that I was on. And I had like in my workout journal, like it was like what it was supposed to be. And then I would write down what I did, which was not what he told me, is what I wanted to do. And he would just like flip out. He's like, why were you doing dumbbell bench press instead of barbell? I told you to, like, because I wanted to. I mean, for one thing, I was by myself, and I'm not going to bench press a bar by myself. And just because I wanted to, it's like, and so, and a lot of people there were on the same program forever, and they just like hopping from one machine to the next, And I would have people do stuff that wasn't in their program. And they're like, everybody worked with all the trainers. So you might be with me one day, you're with the other guy the next day, you're with her the time after that. And so we were supposed to be like these interchangeable parts.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually put me on a suspension for like not shaving close enough or something like just stupid. And he was like, he's like, the business community in Indianapolis is really small. I can keep you from getting another job. And so the next day, or this was 15 years ago now, or actually more than that, this was 2001, I went and I got a job selling lawn care. And I was just completely disenchanted with what I thought you had to do to be successful. Because here I was working at the most successful place. I wasn't getting paid very much per hour, so I was an employee, and it was, but I had 30 some hours a week of training and a lot of cool clients. But I went and I'd rather go sell lawn care. Training was my passion, and I just trained like friends and friends of friends out of my house. Didn't charge anything. Just come over, we'll train, we'll do martial arts, we'll do lifting, we'll just have this thing. And that was really cool for a long time. And then when I discovered Pavel, the moment I pulled the book, The Russian Kettlebell Challenge, off the library shelf, I'm looking through it, and it just blew my mind. It's like, if I get certified again, if I want to do this professionally, it's only going to be with his certification, because to me, he embodied what I wanted for myself. He didn't really care about getting bigger, but he wanted to be stronger, faster, more powerful for martial arts. What can you actually do? Everything just made sense. And like thinking of like the test, like these guys would have to do 100 snatches with a 53-pound kettlebell in 5 minutes. So like, wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. And so then, I became one of those guys that can do that. And it's not such a big deal if you practice. I mean, at first it seems really like this big mountain to climb. So now, like going forward, like I'm planning on getting my second level of Strong First. Whenever they come back around to Chicago, it'll probably be like April, because my certification will be up. So like whenever they're back in Chicago, probably, or maybe I'll fly somewhere else. But it expires in May, so I have to renew it by next May. And other certifications I'm looking at are like, a lot of them like sound good, but I kind of just end up like stealing their methods and like incorporating my own. Like I call my own style like freestyle kettlebell training. And I did that on purpose because like I don't think you can actually like trademark freestyle. I could be wrong, but I took it because it's not just mine. Like I'm doing all this different stuff. So I'll say like freestyle kettlebell training founder, but I don't think you can actually have the word freestyle as like yours, but I'm not positive on that. But the idea is just like taking in all these different sources and having my own way. And I like teaching kids. And so when I'm teaching at workshops, I invite other trainers who have different skills than me. And I just said, like, we have one coming up the last weekend of September, and I just send the messages out. Like I've done 3 of them like this. This will be the 3rd one. And I just send the messages out. I'm like, hey, do you want to be part of this again? And they're like, yes, yes, yes. And then like, great. Like for this one, like the thing is like no equipment. So I'm not teaching kettlebell stuff so like I think for this time is like no equipment. So I have 6 instructors and an herbalist. So, and we're going to be camping at White Pine Wilderness Academy in Indianapolis. And so like all these different trainers can do whatever they want. They can bounce their ideas off of me, but I don't want to like get in the way of whatever they feel like teaching. I choose them because they're awesome. So it's like, I'm asking them like, hey, come train. What are you going to teach? And so I guess to answer your question, like going forward, it's just like keep learning from all these different ways. But my favorite certification is Strong First. And I have a lot of other ones that really look good. And I take from a lot of different methods, the animal flows, and maces are starting to like look really attractive to me now. But I guess to answer the questions, like I don't have, like I could be like one of those like you that like wants to have like all these different certifications, and it's a really awesome thing to do. But I end up just kind of like stealing all their moves and making the best of it without getting the the certs. So yeah, it's kind of we'll just kind of see what happens. But I know the level 2 strong first is the next thing for sure.
Nice.
So did you have anything else that you're wanting to get?
No, that's about it for now. I really enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for inviting me. And we could do this again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, you have an open invitation to be on if you do a lot of cool things, and that's why I sent you the invitation to begin with. I was looking through. I was like, wow, she really has really cool style. You're really like strong, and something else I thought was interesting. I sent you the message, and then like right away you respond back. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. And at first I was like, wow, like this is really. I just perceived you as like I saw that you were strong and everything, but kind of like the way that you responded to me and like talking about like what we're going to talk about. I was just like really impressed with how you are, I guess, just the how you everything was. So like most of the time people aren't responding back who I've never actually met. Here's my phone number, give me a call, and they're like respond back, and then it's this Instagram messages or Facebook or whatever email. And but I was just like impressed with your I guess the strength that showed me, that if that makes any sense. I don't know if that sounds weird, but
Oh no, I appreciate it. Thank you. I just like to treat people like they're people. And if I'm going to be on someone's podcast, I was like, I want to get to know you before we go on a podcast. I want to like let's have a conversation on the phone and talk to each other versus just going on a podcast and answering a bunch of questions. And I feel like it makes it more personable. Plus, I'm not the best at email. I'm much better when it comes to talking on the phone, texting, or I'm better with Instagram DMs. But everything else I'm not really the best at. And I knew if I didn't do it right away, wasn't going to happen. And that's very much kind of like a big thing in my life. Like, if I want something to happen, I make it happen. I make it happen now. And if it doesn't happen now, it means it wasn't meant to happen.
yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I like that. Make the whole making things happen, and I think like we get these like little clues that it's like, okay, now I need to like go after that. I'm going to give that a try, and even if it doesn't work out, whether it's like some training, business thing, or relationship or something, it's like if you see something and you like it, go after it. Do what you have to do. Make yourself a magnet to attract that kind of thing, and just like go after it. So yeah, I was just like impressed with just how that whole thing went. That was really cool. So what do you have any like last words of wisdom for everyone?
Just be you, just be yourself, but be your best version of yourself. So sometimes when you think you're being yourself, like, oh, this is just who I am, that's actually not who you are. That's your resistant self. Be the best version of yourself. Be compassionate for yourself. That will help you be compassionate for other people. And that's it. That's it. Be good. Have a great day. Be awesome. See the good in everything. Every inspirational quote you want to think of, you can judge it and say, oh, that's bullshit. Or you can just be like, no, that's not really a bad thing to believe.
Yeah, very cool. I like it. Thanks again for coming on, Venus. It was cool getting to know you better, and we will have to do this again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Have a
Okay,
good day.
thanks. I'll stop the recording and I'll talk to you for just a second when we're done.